Thank you very much, Herns. Thank you very much, Hugh. Thank you, Herns. Thank you, Toni. Thank you for the chance to make this introduction. As my colleague Hugh Thomas said, my name is Kate Ramsey, and I teach in the history department at UM. And it is a real honor and pleasure to be able to introduce tonight's speakers, Herns Marcelin and Toni Cela, who are, as Hugh Thomas noted, my esteemed colleagues, or our esteemed colleagues at UM, and co-editors with Henri Dorville of the landmark volume Les Jeunes Haitiens dans les Amériques, Haitian Youth in the Americas. I have been looking forward to the publication of this book ever since I learned it was in progress. And now that it is in the world, I can say that this is a work of such scope and insight and timely importance that I hope if you do not come with your own copy tonight, you will not leave without a copy, as truly this is a book that matters. So let me introduce Dr. Marcelin and Dr. Cela to place this work in the context of their wider research. At the University of Miami, Dr. Marcelin is Associate Professor in the Department of Anthropology, as well as Director of UM's new program in Global Health and Society. And Dr. Cela is a postdoctoral research associate in the Department of Anthropology as well. But UM is not their only institutional location, as both are based as well at the Inter-University Institute for Research and Development in Port-au-Prince, where Dr. Marcelin is Chancellor and Toni is Coordinator. Founded by Dr. Marcelin a decade ago, INURED is a transdisciplinary institute focused on developing high-level research and scientific training in Haiti and throughout the Caribbean. It's a think and do tank that seeks as well to democratize access to knowledge, which means that INURED's many vital and influential studies and reports over the past 10 years are available open access online. Dr. Marcelin's own research focuses on kinship, family, and religion in the African diaspora. It also centers on urban youth gangs, human security, violence, and globalization. And he works as well on questions of historical epistemology and concept formation in the social and behavioral sciences. His articles have appeared in journals such as American Anthropologist, the American Journal of Public Health, and Current Anthropology, among others. His most recent awards and fellowships include a writing residency at the Rockefeller Foundation's Bellagio Center in Italy, an American Council of Learned Societies, ACLS, fellowship, and a residency award from the Stellenbosch Institute for Advanced Study in South Africa. Dr. Cela's research focuses on identity formation among Haitian youths, on the anthropology of disaster and recovery, on the anthropology of education, and she works on questions of migration as well. Dr. Cela's recent awards and fellowships have included her appointment as a Fulbright Scholar in Haiti, a National Academy of Education Spencer Foundation grant, and she has served as well as a Presidential Fellow of the American Anthropological Association's Council on Anthropology and Education. She's published in journals such as Disaster Health and Vulnerable Children and Youth Studies, among others. I want to highlight as well that Dr. Marcelin and Dr. Cela are currently conducting an intervention study on Haitian youth, their families, and the juvenile justice system in South Florida, funded by the U.S. National Institutes of Health, the NIH, and the National Institute on Drug Abuse. So without further ado, please join me in warmly welcoming Dr. Marcelin and Dr. Cela to the Center for the Humanities.
Well, thank you, Kate, and thank you, thank you for this nice introduction. And I don't know if I deserve all of this. So I want to the night to be more of a conversation about what we have been doing. And I will start by just giving an overview of what the book is about, what we have been doing. And after that, Dr. Cela will read, a section of the book, and which is one of the key philomenian part of it. So first, the project, emerged out of a certain preoccupation. The preoccupation was that first, whenever we scholars were studying migration of a particular country, in our case Haiti, and they focus either on Haitians in the United States, Haitian in Canada, or Haitians in the DR, or Haitians in South America in the country. And of course Haiti is always at the center, and then you end up thinking about these processes as if they were separated processes. And what we tried to do, Toni, Cela, and Dorville first, start seeing me, discussing with me, and asking me, well, why don't we try to think to cross borders? I mean, from the countries within which that these young people are living, these people in general are living. And we thought about the project a lot within the context of INURED, after a lot of reflections, analysis, and ultimately discussions with colleagues, etc. And then we came to the idea that it's critical for us to think cross-societal, transnational, because the phenomenon that we have been observing during the latter days, in the latter years, are a phenomenon very interesting, challenging for science, challenging for the reflection on human experience, but also very interesting in the way that empirically you see people carry out their lives. So we realize that Haitians who are living in the United States, Haitians who are living in South America, Haitians who are living in the DR, in Canada or Cuba, they circulate. They don't stay in the United States as fixed entities. They circulate, they go to Canada, they traverse to Dominican Republic, they go to Cuba, etc., etc. So we thought that it was very important for us to empirically think about the object of Haitian migration in a very different ways. The other point that was interesting was that also we found out, as in all cases of every migrant, it's not just most of the study we have on migrations, they focus mostly on remittances, money that is going back to the families for subsistences and all of these things. But also we know that people who migrate, they migrate not just to make money or to organize their lives in a certain way. They migrate with their own experiences. And these experiences also circulate the way that they face off the challenges in the country where they are living, and the ways that they are marginalized or the way they are integrated, etc., etc. So we thought that it was critical for the study of, to bring the experiences of these populations into play. But what exactly is more intriguing about this work was the fact that the latter years, since January 2010 earthquake, Haiti has been losing a lot of its youth. And that's exactly the crux of the matter for us. The question is not about too much about the distribution of Haitians in the Americas. The question is that after the earthquake, Haiti needed to be rebuilt, and Haiti still needs to be rebuilt. But yet the young people who are trained, who could be the future of the country, they are leaving the country. There is a flow of Haitians that are leaving the country. Just to give you an idea, in 2007, for example, we had less than 5,000 Haitians in Brazil, and Chile we have only 1,000. After the earthquake between 2010 and 2012, it went up to 20,000. And then from the earthquake to 2016, we have 150,000 young people. And that's the same phenomenon that we observe in Chile. Now, those young people, when I'm talking about young people between the age of 16 to 35. That's the crux of the point. So the work that we try to do is conceptually to see how we can think about the migration, mobility of people, about Haiti, by putting at the core of this thinking, the idea of circulation. It's an idea that I've been discussing a lot with Edward, my colleague down there, and we have been discussing it and reflecting on it, and later on the team pick it up, and it has a great productivity. So the idea of circulation is that we have a situation in which the key people that we need to help build that country are in a situation in which that they don't find a way for them to dream about the country, to dream about their futures, to create projects, to envision the future in a certain way. So we try to approach that question by integrating different methodologies, by using different disciplines, using data-driven disciplines, for example, clinical studies and social science studies, but also by using other types of approaches in order for us to incorporate, these experiences. So the book itself translates the experiences of Haitians not only in the United States, but also in Canada, in the DR, in South America, by bringing together different types of disciplines, anthropology, sociology, poetry, education, in a kind of transdisciplinary manner, to think about the object differently. And as I said, we have a lot to tell you about the different chapters, but I prefer just to give you the context within which, and to frame it, how it is framed. Theoretically, we think that it's important to think about this phenomenon more than we think classically in terms of fixed entities that have a relationship with their home countries. It's more complex than that. The complexity, was something that we never had, transpired in the study of Haitians and Haitian youth. But most importantly, I think, it's an opportunity to have scholars of Haitian studies, scholars who study, processes of Haitian adaptation in different countries, to bring them together and to find a way for them to have some discussions. And these discussions is very vivid here, and we can, palpate it with different. It's wonderful. Now, to give you a taste of it, we are not just going to draw from data-driven text, but we want also to share with you some of these experiences by bringing one of the poetry that we have integrated in the text. But I have to say that the book is written in 3 languages. In French, translated with abstract in English with abstract in French, and in Creole with abstract in French and in English.
So I'm going to read from chapter 6, which is a poem written by a Haitian youth who currently lives in Haiti. It's actually translated in French, English, and Haitian Creole in the book. The title of the poem is Pays à pas là, or The Country is Gone. No one knows how many of us live here, nor do they know how many of us are abroad. No one knows what we eat in the morning. They can't possibly know how many children are in the streets. I come to tell you the country is gone. The cities are empty. We are a rootless horde of wandering souls, a band of morticians trading corpses, a crew of agronomists cleaning off our desks, a sky licking the earth, wrecking hopes, destroying tomorrows, grotesque comedians whose small politics allude to the urine of stray cats, shocked pregnant women holding their bellies on their heads, a horde of malevolent sorcerers being played for cookies. We are a citadel that has lost its purpose. We are a people who introduced humanity to others, who taught others how to be humane and how have shown them what it takes to be humane. We are a season that does not require rain. We are breath. We are land. We are Africa. We are blacks. We are a deserted savanna. We are Artibonite, crippled by the liberal economy, a cannibal economy feeding indifference to hunger, unmoved by misery, accomplices of colonization. We are a tormented horde running in a rotten country, a country drifting away, lured by globalization. We are modernizing, we are privatizing, we are short-selling dreams, we are burning the night so that children don't see tomorrow. We no longer remember the magnitude of our freedom. Democracy shackles our feet. Both the left and the right have electrocuted our brains, unable to measure the ruler of honesty. What have we planted? Where do we stand? Where are we headed? From where do we eat? Why aren't we screaming? We are the people who gave face to liberty. We are also the people who have written on all pages. We have only recently known downtown suffering. We have only recently known cultural suffering. I live in a city that dances with its past. City without hopes, city of dust and clogged up sewers, city of fear and horror. The country is seesawing back and forth, cities mixed with cities, cities lined up one after the other, cities upon cities, cities of black market transactions, cities that are not cities, cities that are no longer cities, cities fearing cities. As the state fears itself, the state devours itself. The country fears itself. The country is swallowing its own sweat. We carry our suffering in our eyes. Our pain comes from afar. Our pain is not our own. Our pain has been deprogrammed. Our pain has become unrecognizable. Our pain has changed colors. Our pain is every color. Our pain is everywhere. NGOized cities, internationalized cities, chaotic cities, cover-up cities, runaway and overheated cities, cities specializing in the import of illnesses, colorized cities, lost cities, hanging cities, sold cities, dying cities. We grant more to those who already have, creating lists of those who were never here. Metelus, the city has fallen on its back. The country is laying on its back. The country is pregnant. Cities have impregnated themselves. Cities devouring cities. Cities running from cities. Cities that detest other cities. We lock away hens and roosters so that children won't eat egg yolks. Our stomachs are expanding. Our stomachs are wandering. Our stomachs are roving. Our guts are roaming. The city has fallen on its back. The house is empty. No one knows how many brains remain. No one has ever known how many brains have left. They left with all our dreams in their stomachs.
With that, we want to open the discussion.
One question that I'm wondering about is, in doing this very interesting transnational approach, the people you're talking to, they spend a lot of time comparing, especially those who have circulated around, comparing their experiences in various countries, Canada versus the DR versus the US versus Brazil?
We have used different methodologies to capture these things. I mean, one of the privileged methodologies that we have as anthropologists is ethnography. And we have one scholar who have done an excellent study of tracing Haitian migrant networks from Haiti to the DR, coming back, from the DR to Haiti again, and then from there to Brazil, and Brazil to Chile, and Chile to Brazil. And what is interesting about the process is not interesting, but what is difficult to understand about the process is the fact that there is no way, when you think about this type of movement, that you can capture the life experiences of people within just point A and point B. The circulation happens because of many forces, where they end up being. For example, in the Dominican Republic, during the last 4 to 5 years, we had serious pushback because of the measures, nationalistic measures that are being taken, pushing back Haitian to Haiti. But at the same time, you have young Haitians who left Haiti now, who are studying in the Dominican Republic, ultimately would decide that the Dominican Republic is not the place to stay, and then they move to Brazil. And from Brazil, after the political crisis in Brazil, there was some pushback against Haitian immigrants. They ended up being in Chile. But in Chile, with the new government that is there, creating new legislation to block the invasion of Haitians, if you will, some stay in Brazil, in Chile, and others, go back to Brazil, and this circulation happened that way. So we use different types of methodologies, and we have about 10 collaborators in this book. 15 collaborators. 13 collaborators, you see, in this book. That means that we have experiences that come from different places. But these collaborators not only meet, but also discuss and accompany the process of circulation of these people, whether from Canada to the United States, or from the States to Canada, or from the States, from North America to Haiti itself. Now, the key question is that if Haiti is to think of itself differently, to rebuild, to think about rebuilding itself, how is it going to do so if the society doesn't think of Haitians in a different way? That means that the resources that we have, they are spreading around. And there is no guarantee that these resources will be channeled to Haiti unless Haiti generates particular policies and particular approaches to integrate the wealth of young people that it has circulating around the Americas.
Just to add to that, I think the concept of circulation is important because while the earthquake as a critical event led to a mass exodus of young and old from Haiti, it also resulted in re-engagement or increased engagement of whether it's Canadian-based young youth of Haitian descent or United States-based youth of Haitian descent or French-based youth of Haitian descent for that matter. And that's why the concept is so important, because just as people are leaving, people are also coming back. People also see the need to go back or to re-engage or to engage more. In chapter 10, I believe, where we look at the diasporic identity emergence of youth of Haitian descent in the United States, about 30% of Haitian youth who hadn't engaged in Haiti began engaging after the earthquake, whereas those who already felt connectivity, they launched more initiatives, whether on their campuses here in the United States or started engaging directly in Haiti. So what this volume looks at is really how, after these critical events, of which we have had many, whether it's political, natural disasters, we recently had Hurricane Matthew, it leads to certain types of circulation. That may be exodus, that may be return, it may be temporary return, it may be long-term, return. So we want to look at what it is to be Haitian and carrying Haiti with you no matter where you are in the world, in this particular instance, the Americas.
Can't wait to read the book. My question is, who controls that flow? We know that it's costly. I mean, I don't know what it is for Chile, but we've known in South Florida that when people came by boat, it wasn't just people getting on a boat, but there was clearly a transaction. People had to pay to get on the boat. So who pays, who controls that flow, who benefits from that flow, and what's the impact? We know, I've heard that land is being sold in the South because of this migration. People here have to spend money, so are you looking at that kind of economic impact?
And there is also that part of it. It's interesting because you have that, poses the problem of intermediaries, because movement of people don't happen without different layers of intermediaries that either facilitate it or stimulate it or block it, etc., or mediate it in one way or another. So you have a lot of intermediaries. One thing that is interesting about the flows of, for example, of Haitians in South America, we have to see it in the context of post-United Nations interventions in Haiti. The Brazilians, the Chileans, the Ecuadorians have created the path to facilitate ways for local intermediaries to connect with intermediaries in Brazil, in Chile, in Ecuador, and therefore facilitate the circulation of movement of people. That's the first thing. The second thing is the fact that the earthquake wasn't the unique serious event that happened to Haiti and that led people to despair, and then to not to despair, but not seeing the future, envisioning the future. Hurricane Matthew was of a serious, generated a serious, situations in which people sold their lands, as you mentioned. People from the United States, send money to Haiti to subsidize, travel to go to the DR, or if not the DR, to go to Brazil, with the hope that from Brazil they can come to the United States. And of course, with the way that immigration function here, that doesn't happen, and they end up staying there. And either they cannot stay in Brazil, they go to Chile, and in Chile they find whatever they can find to send remittances back to Haiti or to impact activities that are happening at the community level. So the issue of intermediaries is one of the critical issues that we have been looking at also.
just to add to that also, there's also a level of paying it forward. So if you made it to Chile, then you send for your younger brother or cousin, etc. Because the money may have originated in Haiti, someone sold something, borrowed money, you pay it back, and then you also help pay for the next person to leave to come to Chile and be with you in Chile. So there are many different factors that lead people to leave, that help that make that possible. Recently, after the publication of the book, we've known about a lot of Haitian youth studying at Dominican universities, and now the phenomenon has extended down to secondary and primary school, as parents, even in rural communities, find that they get more bang for their buck if they invest in the education system in the Dominican Republic, so they're sending their children to the Dominican Republic at younger ages. And this also builds the Dominican economy. So while there's a nationalist, narrative against Haitians coming in, there's an economic benefit of having students pay for university, students pay for private education, at the secondary or even the primary school level. So everything isn't as it appears. There are a lot of different intermediaries who are affecting the flows of people in and out of Haiti.
What's the role of the Haitian government in this exodus? Is the government in some ways passively wanting these people, the percentage of their population to leave? Do we have a sense of that? I would imagine in a society 2018 Haiti, that the government itself would want a percentage of the people to leave who are unhappy with their circumstance in order to keep the peace, almost, to maintain power, right?
Yeah, and I think that you said it all. Because if you follow the phenomenon, whenever you have a major crisis in Haiti, that will lead, of course, to socio-political crisis, you also have a kind of safety valve that is open. So if it wasn't for migration, Haiti would explode. Today, Haiti would explode. So yes, government act actively and sometimes passively. That's the best way to be active, not doing nothing, to prevent, Haitians, at least to prevent this migration means that to invest whatever we have as resources in that country, to invest them in education, in quality education, in job creations, all those things that we know, but also to value, to give people the sense that they worth something, they can do something. So in a situation in which that the society is so in crisis, systemic crisis, from rural system to urban system, family system, everything at every layer that you take it, it's the pathology of generated by the crisis have gone so far that it destabilized the possibility for people to hope and to say. And unfortunately, effort that has been done by international community to create structure, to reinforce the capacity of the country, you can see that years later, after billions of dollars spent, you don't see where that has been.
Isn't that part of migration resulting in the kind of a loss of the Haitian identity itself?
I think that's one of the key problems that we are talking about here is, yes, there is not only an issue of loss of identity. Well, because of globalization process, transformation is happening anyway, wanting or not. But the way it is happening in Haiti, the way that through migration, through displacement of population, circulation, and other calamities that happen to the country that leads people to leave the country, the way it happens also asks us to question the longevity of the society as we know it, because people don't realize that the same way that people die, countries die, societies die. At some point, there is so much you can lose in terms of identity, in terms of value, in terms of references, in terms of parameters, that at some point, this is something that is that creates us the need to think at a kind of existential level. What kind of country do you want to be, and for what kind of society that you want to train those kids today, tomorrow, and for this there is a need to create hope, and the hope is the one that exactly doesn't exist, that dissipates. Yeah.
So who's doing those kind of reflections right now?
Well, there are people doing reflections, though the problem is not that we don't have people doing reflections. The problem is how to channel these reflections into collective actions, into institutionalized actions, into institutions, into social transformation, and that's into policy. You know, that's the key, one of the key parts. But there is another part also of the story. Let me go back again. So we say that 2010 was because we had the January earthquake, Haiti, 300,000 people, almost 300,000 people died. 25% of the leadership of the country was eliminated. I'm talking about administrative leadership of the country was eliminated. 25% of the country. It's a lot. At that moment, you have an outpour of international aid that came to Haiti. You know, they come to aid, to help it. In fact, at some point, there was some kind of, you could read in some T-shirt, "Save Haiti," from itself, of course. But then you have, so this outpour of aid, of support, etc., have led to two big phenomena. First, destabilization of community-based organizations that could do things by themselves. Because everybody now, in order to take away the trash in front of their houses, what they do, they ask you for the money. Or they organize a little project to go to USAID, and then they have a little money, and that money allows them to pick up the trash. And then they put it there. And then there is another project, and so forth and so on. Okay, but there is another issue also important, is that once you destabilize the agency, the ability for people to be politically agent, to be a socially an agent, an economic agent, to transform your own life, you turn the country into a country of mendicity. We ask for everything, you know. We ask for everything, and then at the same time, we don't create enough cadre, and our youth are living. And in the meantime, you have international cadre who have no clue about Haiti, who doesn't understand anything about Haiti. They spend 2 months, they spend 1 year, they spend 3 years, and that's what they're gone. And then what remains is what remains. So the model itself goes beyond just, a movement of population. It goes beyond just a group of people who are thinking. It goes beyond the local dimension of these things. I'm not saying that there is no future. There is a possibility, but the effort that it will require, it will need to be a little more sophisticated, more complex, to understand the process and then to generate resources appropriately. Oops. Yeah. That's me. That's classic.
Don't touch the mic.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also to add to that, because I think that's more from the perspective of youth within Haitian borders, a couple of the chapters looks at youth of Haitian descent in outside of Haiti. And one of the things we found, particularly in Canada with Gina Lafortune's chapter, and in the United States where we looked at diasporic identity formation among youth of Haitian descent here, is that there is this kind of, there are conflicting sentiments about Haiti. Haitian youth or Haitian descended youth are in this situation where they're trying to balance or understand the past, the glorious past, first independent Black Republic, the Pearl of the Antilles as Haiti was known in the 60s, 50s, and 60s, with the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, the poorest country in the Caribbean, the devastation that they witnessed with the earthquake. And, so while they may want to connect, they may want to engage, they're also grappling with, the Haiti that my parents told me about and the Haiti that they see, on the news all the time. So there's this constant kind of pushback against the media, pushback against these narratives, these negative narratives about Haiti, but there's also this internalization of these negative images and negative, characterizations of Haiti and Haitians. So Haitian descended youth outside of Haiti are grappling with what it means to be of Haitian descent. Whether I'm Haitian, Haitian American, or Canadian, etc. So this is one of the things that we also explore in the book. How do youth outside of Haiti deal with or reconcile what they see in country and how they identify themselves? And
I have to recognize Dr. Charlene Desir, who is one of the authors of these chapters. And I think that you too, in your chapter, that's what you have been grappling with.
I mean, if I could add, I think the Haitians in the diaspora, the young people, who teaches them? It's not the school, it's not the family, it's not the church. So the project I did for 7 years, I had 100 Haitian kids every summer. And I created a social literacy project with a Haitian lens here in Miami. I did this. On Barry University's campus, and Sue Gallagher and another colleague, we wrote a chapter. And in that 7 years, we had kids who had full year scholarships to college. We had kids who, we started right after the earthquake, we had kids be pen pals with kids in Haiti. I also had a project in Haiti happening at the same time. And the pride that they felt, the teachers were all Haitian, Haitian American, the Edwidge Dantika donated books, like it was all entrenched in understanding, because they were looking at Haiti through these images, and no one looked at the Haitian American kids who had to constantly see these images. So again, there's also a responsibility within the Haitian community. What are we teaching the diaspora, and why should they be connected? And you know, the parents loved it. Grades went up, students excelled. So it's a sense of identity. So there's an importance in how we understand the Haitian diaspora identity.
Yes.
I'm curious about, you mentioned, Toni, about the concept of paying it forward, and those who perhaps leave Haiti and find prosperity somewhere and want to bring or help family members. I'm curious. I mean, is there perhaps a faction of those folks who see paying it forward as investing in the country and initiating some social programs in Haiti, or is this internal conflict really kind of preventing that?
So I think the paying it forward, it may begin with, someone in my family helped me get out and, change my circumstance. So I owe it to those left behind. There's also the sense of I have to do something for the country. However, if you don't have institutions and policies that can help kind of coalesce these initiatives, they just become a project that someone has in a specific area that may or may not have longevity, may or may not have impact. If you don't have policies in place to provide social safety nets, these just become disparate individual efforts. In a country where 80% of people live below the poverty line, what kind of real impact can that have, and how much can an individual do? And so one of the challenges is creating local institutions that can help channel a lot of the resources that come in from the diaspora, because what you end up having is a bunch of disparate projects that have an impact for a short period of time, but then if the benefactor dies, or another family member doesn't want to take it on, or another community member doesn't want to take it on, it doesn't have longevity.
Yeah, and sometimes reinforces bad institutions. When people, I have 20 friends who are paying for kids' education in Haiti, and when I ask them, what schools are you sending the money to? These are private schools, they're spending the money, and the kids are really not learning much. So there's not even a condition with this, what kind of school are you sending the kids in? So they're really invested in a non-educational children.
Yeah, the circumstance in Haiti is that over 80% of schools are private. So the public sector doesn't have a large capacity, and there's no governance structure that kind of regulates the private sector. So basically they're investing in schools, they call them lottery schools, which is kind of like, it's like crapshoot schools. You're playing craps with your kid's education. And so the investment in the child's education reinforces the problems that, the institutional problems that Haiti, is confronted with. So the root of the problem is never addressed. So that individual child gets an education, the quality of which you don't know, but you need a government that's going to regulate these schools so that when they pay for that child to get an education, they get a quality education. But what you're doing is basically reinforcing some of the societal problems that exist.
And to come back to your question about the state again, it's a matter of leadership. There is no leadership in precisely regulating the schools. There is no leadership in regulating the health sector. In creating space so then people have access to these things. In creating the space so then you can know what you are having for your bucks. So the leadership issue is a huge issue in terms of, an entity in the country that could take the lead in terms of thinking of development, thinking forward, incorporating, for example, good ideas into policies.
One interesting phenomenon about diasporic communities and the home country, this is a general observation, is that there is a level of pushback from the home country when immigrants want to come in, when diasporic community members want to come in and do something. The general conclusion is, oh, we are here, you left, we are here. We have been doing all of this. Now you come and you have all these ideas. So there is a pushback. I know Haiti's situation is different, but I'm wondering whether you got a sense of that from some of the young people. They want to do stuff, but they get pushback from Haiti.
So, first, when you mentioned the pushback under Papa Doc, Francois Duvalier, the first dictator from 57 to 71, the term diaspora became a pejorative term. So when they call you diaspora in Haiti, depending on the intonation, it's an accusation. So if they call you diaspora, that's an accusation that started under Papa Doc. But the chapter where we talk about diasporic identity formation among Haitian youth, one of the conflicts or ambivalences that they're dealing with is when they went back to Haiti after the earthquake, people were telling them they weren't Haitian, or they weren't Haitian enough, or they had been raised by parents who were kind of like, well, security issues, you can't trust Haitians, or they didn't know what Haitians would do with the money, but they were very much aware about the tenuous relationship between Haitians in Haiti and themselves as Haitians from the diaspora. So that's one of the concerns that they had, was how do we build a bridge between these two communities so that I can contribute, so that I can have a positive impact in Haiti. And they were very aware of kind of the marginalization that some people in the diaspora feel.
Go ahead.
There is an economic, political, and intellectual elite in Haiti, and they live exceedingly well. Their lives are as good as anybody's lives anywhere in the world, if not better than most places in the world. They do really, really well. So they have no interest in this diaspora coming back at any level. What they want from them, I'm generalizing, of course. I'm not saying everything in that elite. But what they want from the diaspora, what I've seen in my lifetime, is that they want the diaspora to send remittances. Stay the hell out. We have monopolies in every aspect of Haitian life. I bring in the rice, I have the rice monopoly, I have the BMW monopoly, and on and on and on. They have no interest in this diaspora. The diaspora is of no use to them, or at least will be competing with them. So the only way for this diaspora, which is an incredible diaspora, by the way, worldwide, done some research on that, but the only way for this diaspora to get back to that country and make a difference is to actually force their way back. Nobody's going to invite them to the table. They just have to demand a seat at that table, which I think is the problem for the Haitian diaspora worldwide. How do you get in there to try to make a difference for people, except for sending hundreds of dollars to family members per month?
Yeah, one part of what you mentioned here, very important. Yes, one part of what you mentioned, I have to go back to it, is the cold indifference of the elite in relation to its own people. And we know what colonization has done, to countries, post-colonization. We know how the new elite was replaced the master and all of these things. But the master at least would have a hospital, just in case if he is sick, he has somewhere to go. The master would have a primary school system, exclusive for himself, for their little group. They will have a university, a good university. They will have some roads so then they can drive their BMW. They would have, put the rest of the people to work so they can have food to eat, good food, organic food to eat. I never seen in all my studies in all the societies I've been in Latin America and the Caribbean and other places, I've never seen an elite of a society so blind, so cruel, and so indifferent in relation to the rest. And the indifference is so cold.
Well, we also have observed it as a kind of racism.
But no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's so cold. It is a blatant racism. Haitians who have little ability, but again, I'm generalizing, right? But I am Haitian, by the way. So you know, Haitians who have little capital, the first exercise that we do is to show the other one that you are not human. It's not about just oppressing. But you know what? At some point, I will agree with oppression. The thing is, I mean, those people are not people. Looking at people living in a rural area, they are not humans. You know? And we saw that after the earthquake. We were thinking that the earthquake will break this paradigm and make people think in a different way and understand that if I don't have certain basic goods, basic services for me to have access to, at least if I want to enslave the people, give them ways for them to live. I mean, they don't even consider people as human. I mean, the racism is so profound that there are stuff that we do in Haiti in relation to the rest that shows our indifference, our cold social indifference, that ask you yourself, where am I, which planet that I'm living in? So this is to agree with you partly in the sense that, at the same time, there are some elements in the elites also who are trying to do something. There are some elements in the state, in the governmental apparatus that, who are trying to do something. But the structure is so strong, the structure of corruption is so powerful that it absorbs all the little efforts, individual efforts, or localized efforts that are being done to try to address the thing. And all of these compounded by omnipresence of a certain type of international community, that crush any efforts that are being done, in Haiti. And this starting with organization that start in this country. That crush, and then if you do that to your own people, so, I don't care. Yes.
I have a quick question. In terms of migration, looking at Haitians leaving Haiti, in my very humble ability to analyze what's happening, have we thought about migration within Haiti itself? And as it's happening, it's weakening, those already non-existing institutions. I believe that if we were to go back to the earth and cultivate, at least we could feed, ourselves. And I find that people from the mountains, they are leaving these areas for the capital. And I think they're just compounding the problem. Have we looked at this phenomenon and how it is affecting the actual exodus from Haiti to the outside world?
Two things. I take a part in you. One thing that doesn't help Haiti is the impact of climate change in the country. In the whole region, because you have more hurricanes, more disasters, and it's a mountainous country. So there is no energy, no policy for energy, electric energy and so forth and so on. So people use charcoal, people use, very, totally primitive instruments to work the agriculture. So there is no production, and then they leave. So when the water comes down from the mountains, the water comes down with all the good land and all the people, all the trees, and go to the little villages. And the little villages, people will leave because of the fact that the villages become inhabitable, and then they go to power plants, and then you have an explosion of inner cities, of slums, that is totally uncontrollable. For example, after the earthquake, we were thinking that Haitians were about to think about urban planning in a certain way, a minimum urban planning. Yes. After the earthquake, all those people who were displaced and who live already in very dangerous area, they were reinforced by people from rural areas and then to create the largest slums that ever existed in Haiti after the earthquake. Can you imagine that? And this with the money of international community. With USAID, World Vision, Red Cross, American Red Cross, with that money. Is it us? No. Okay? So I mean, it's extraordinary to see how the process, how the process goes. So yes, there is an in-migration going on in the country, and this is forced because of natural disaster, and of course, whatever comes with that in terms of drought, in terms of severity of economic crisis, lack of resources, and so forth and so on. So not only the big cities are crowded, totally crowded. But you have for example, take a city like Cap Haitien. It rains for 30 minutes, and then there is nowhere you can go. It's like an earthquake. You cannot go anywhere just because it rains for 30 minutes. The city is stuck. Everybody stuck in flood. And some houses you have people like that. And people live in, it's extraordinary. So again, yes, this phenomenon happens, but it follows exactly the path of degradation, deconstruction of rural system and family system to urban life, and then to violence, to structural violence, to all of these things that we know.
So I wanted to kind of go back to some points that we were talking about, and when we talk about circulation, because we throw around the word elite when we're talking about Haiti, and I think sometimes we don't think about and analyze what that means in the Haitian context. When you talk about circulation, it is not something that is distinct to rural poor who move to the urban slums. It's not distinct to those who are in urban cities in Haiti who, envision leaving and eventually may leave. It's also a part of the elite circle. If they need treatment, hospital care, they want to have a baby, they leave the country. They have to have a second passport or a visa. So the whole question, we're looking at the question of citizens and building a country with citizens from the youth perspective, but the problem begins with other generations that are not necessarily citizens. They occupy the space, but not as citizens. Because if you have to live in a space where your children can't go to university, they can't access a hospital, yet you have millions of dollars in the bank or thousands of dollars in the bank, okay, what do we mean when we say elite? Even in the United States, there are different types of elite. There's the economic elite, there's the intellectual elite. However, in Haiti, elite means something very distinct that I don't think we've really taken the time. We're so busy worrying about the poor people that we really don't think about the elite who are leaders, whether it's economic, whether it's political because they influence the political because of the economic. But what does it mean to be an elite citizen of Haiti when if your child gets cold or if your child breaks a leg, you have to take a copter to Miami? Or when the president broke his something, he was in Jackson Hospital. I can't remember.
Take the president of Haiti, the ex-president of Haiti.
Michel Martelly.
No, but the ex-president of Haiti died.
Préval.
Préval, he died in the road from, because there is no road. He couldn't find a hospital. There is no emergency room. So he died in the way.
So this whole notion of elite and leadership, all of those things need to be problematized. But these, constituents are also circulating. They're not living like fat cats in a country with all of their services and everything they need. They have to import things that other people obviously won't have access to because they don't have contacts in customs, they don't have access to the ports, they don't have the means. But they also circulate. They live in transit, just like the people we're talking about who go back and forth to the Dominican Republic and Haiti. And I think because we focus on Haiti as the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, so we focus on a certain echelon in the society, but we fail to recognize that even among the elite, they're a transient population. I would like to know what the percentage of elite have a second passport or a visa. But we know for a fact that most of their social needs cannot be met in country. They cannot be met in country. So it forces us to rethink, how do you rebuild Haiti if, with a tattered political and economic and I don't know if there's an intellectual elite at this point, but how do you rebuild a country with such a tattered leadership?
Wow.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's also a methodological issue with, we call it studying up in anthropology. You don't get access to them, to study them, to understand them properly anyway. That is, we've never really, or very seldom, ever solved that.
I think we have time for one more question.
The basketball team was disqualified from playing for Haiti because it was full of Haitian Americans, and the problem was that the Haitian government would not issue them a Haitian passport, even though according to the Constitution, children of Haitian nationals, even if they live elsewhere, are entitled to Haitian nationality. So that was, that was a block directly from the government. And this weekend I met this athletes again who want to represent Haiti. I mean, this girl just started crying because for 2 years she's been trying to get a Haitian passport.
Let me tell you a joke, a story. About, it was 1 year ago, and you were there, most of you were there, at the University of Miami. We held a presentation on post-Matthew. Now, we have conducted a study in rural Haiti, in URED, the institute that we are trying to build in Haiti. So we went to the mountains and work, and then verify, and then bring the data, try to bring it to the Haitian government. Talking about study up, because of the way that INURED is wired, we have access to everybody at all level, so we see them from up down too. So we went to, it's very interesting, we went to the guy who was going to be the prime minister of the country, who happens to be a physician. And we know, everybody knows, after a disaster, plagues emerge, other things emerge. So Haiti's public health is not strong enough to respond or to go detect what is happening. But as we were doing an ethnographic study in a rural area, we found out that, there was a skin diseases, different type of skin diseases, and you, doctor, you help us in identifying these skin diseases. And we, at the level of CHS, Center for Haitian Study, Medishare, put their energy together, and then we went to investigate. So we came with a bunch of pictures. We brought them to the University of Miami. We diagnosed them. We went to the Prime Minister. So with a photo, those are just pictures.
Oh my God.
The Prime Minister, who happens to be a physician, who understands epidemic disease, how rapid it can spread, the epidemiology of it. But it was interesting. It was more interesting. But the most interesting part of it was that when we realized, if we restitute that the results only to the Haitian government and to the power that be in Port-au-Prince, it wasn't going to be enough. We decided with the University of Miami to host a town hall meeting. So, however, for the town hall meeting, we invited the president, we invited
his chief of
staff, a bunch of other people. But also we invited the local mayors where the things happen. You know what the government did? First of all, they didn't want to come, the upper up didn't want to come because they were going to look bad. Second, they blocked the mayors. The mayors didn't have visa. And we have obtained from State Department authorization for them to have visa. Expeditious.
It wasn't a visa. There was the diplomatic passports.
But then they were to give them visas. But the passport, they didn't give them the passport. Yeah. The official passport to obtain the visa that was available wasn't given to them because they are mayors. So yes, again, that comes back to your point about the resistance, the pushback. In fact, actually, the pushback of those who are in power, those who control things, who don't want things. And they just don't want it, But then again, it's not because they don't want it. It's not because the society is crippled. It's not because the institutions, are crippling. that we cannot think about ways that human agency, human ability to generate different types of politics, different types of relationship with human, that is not possible. It's not because of these things. Despite these things, we say it's possible to think about Haiti, and that's what the book is about. It's possible to think about Haiti by thinking about Haitians as a transnational subject. He is not just Haitian rooted in Haiti. Otherwise, if he is just Haitian in Haiti, in rural area, he is finished. He's done. He's done. She is done. They will rape her. Nothing will happen to anybody. But if he is or she is a transnational subject, so we can hope that movement from diasporic movement, solidarity from students. We just have our students. We have 2 of them here. We went to the top of the mountain of Haiti. But by seeing a white person coming to them as everybody else and sleeping exactly as everybody else, you know what happened? It breaks the thinking that the dominant person in front of them in the city is that powerful, is that important. They understand that, I'm as human as anybody else. So there are ways we can channel, use, what we know, humanities, social sciences, actions, students, energies to make what we can make.
Oh, thanks.